Inappropriate Earl, back. You see two very good-looking people on my couch right now. Well, one.
I see one.
I see one, too. I was just trying to be nice to you because you're so much bigger than me. We have, not many guests come back for more, as Stephen Piercy would sing. Still waiting on him. Oh, it's the best song ever. I drive by the Armenian restaurant that was in the video every day on Melrose, Gardel's Armenian restaurant.
Thanks a lot.
Tawny Katane was in that video too. But enough about past guests. Today's about the future. We have the lovely Nita Strauss.
Thank you so much for having me back on.
Oh, please. The last time I saw you was at the Pantages Theater when you were throwing me guitar picks.
Was I successful? Did you get one?
My ex-girlfriend did.
Yes, I think I remember that.
Our two best dates were at Alice Cooper watching you.
You guys were at the Motley Crue show, and then you guys at the Pantages. I remember.
If you could just play every week, I would have lasted with her. But enough about my failed relationships. Great relationships. Speaking of your boyfriend, manager, your better half,
yes,
Mr. Josh.
Hello.
Owner of the fine clothing company, Beverly Kills.
That would be me.
Stick out that chest. Yeah, it would help. I mean, really, dude.
I don't want to yell into the microphone,
Well, you don't have to hold it by your balls either. So
most of his good ideas come from.
That's true.
well, it's not that kind of a podcast, but we'll let the fans, the people
Dictate.
are blowing up as we speak in chat. Everyone says hi, Nita.
Hi, guys.
Now, Nita, it's been a while since you've been here. I know you have a solo album coming out.
That's right. My first record, Controlled Chaos, that's going to come out in September this year.
Now, I know when Kiss put out their solo albums, they were met with varying...
Album covers?
Well, album covers. But they were met with... all four had different approaches. Like, Peter was a jazz... aficionado, so his was probably the polar opposite of Kiss, and probably the least successful. Paul's was the most Kiss-like. Right. Ace's was probably the best, and Gene's was. And I love Gene. I'm getting the vault. So
are you getting the vault?
I am.
That's
I'm.
Cool.
For $2,000, you can have him. Listen to one song with you in a recording studio.
Okay.
For $2,000.
Right.
For $50, you can spend 2 hours with him.
I was going to say, is it the one where he comes here and hangs out?
I'm gonna opt for the Eric Singer option, which is Eric drops it off for $100.
He's a Gene Simmons courier though.
Yes, I mean Kiss doesn't pay that well. And Gene's solo album was basically here's all my celebrity friends.
Sure.
I'm gonna play with Helen Reddy and Katie Seagal. Is there pressure for you to appease Alice Cooper fans? Like they want to hear your version of School's Out, like style wise, or do you want to do like almost what Peter Criss did? And this is what I want to do.
It's a pretty big departure. There's definitely been a lot of people saying like, are you going to get guest singers? Are you going to have Alice on it? Are you going to, are you going to do a rock album? And, I do have a band that has a singer. We Start Wars, and I have a cover band that plays 80s songs and Alice Cooper songs. So I don't really feel like I need to play those songs anymore. I think this record is my chance to do the solo shred record that I've always wanted to do, and doing it on my own terms, not leaning on special guests or calling in favors, or doing different stuff. I don't want this album to come out and people say, well, it just sold well because she had famous people play on it. I want to do at least this first record on my own, and then maybe branch out later on and collaborate with some people.
Now, it's tough to put out new music in this day and age.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Most bands rarely put out new music because it's like, what's the point?
It's hard.
Why is it hard? Like, is it just the way the industry's set up now?
Attention span. That's what it is.
But what do you mean by that? And I'm being serious.
I personally think, my opinion on that is I think people have a very short attention span of they want stuff right now. And they want they want things to sound a certain way right now, what's going on right now. And some people don't like to wait a long time for bands to release records. And they have, they get to one band right now and then they like another band real quick. And look in like the hip hop community. I mean, it's all singles based driven.
I wouldn't know about that.
Well,
either.
there's no longevity in it. There's people that have hits and that's it, and it's that flavor of the month, and then they move on to the next one. In the rock world, you're finding bands that are finally starting to embrace doing the singles, releasing more singles than releasing records. It would take them longer to put out records, which is good. What do you think?
I forgot the question now.
Why do you think it's different?
That's because Josh is so enthralling.
It is very enthralling.
I just look into his eyes. But why is it so hard?
Put out new music. I think a lot of it is because it's the record deals aren't what they used to be. That's the reason why we went with the Kickstarter for my record. And there was some label interest. There were people saying we want to put out this record, we want to make it happen. But by and large, it's not the way that you're going to make your living now. It's not the way that you're going to pay your rent and pay your mortgage and, make stuff happen. So for us, we have a really modest recording budget. We did a really modest initial ask for the Kickstarter, which was to cover the recording fees and the publicity and pressing of the actual album and the first tour. And that was really all we needed it for. And the fact that it really took off the way it did and gave the fans a way to participate. Someone very famous said recently that rock is dead. People don't want to buy records anymore.
I think I know who that was.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of knows, but I don't want to call him out. But
I will.
Everybody kind of knows who said it. And I think, seeing that people really are willing to pay for new music and be involved and be a part of it, this kind of proves that rock is not dead. People paying for music is not dead. You just need to give them a way to be involved. And I'm glad we did that.
Well, I think whoever said rock is dead is selling a particular vault for
who could that be?
$50,000, and he goes to your house and he'll play a couple songs
for $50,000.
For $50,000, and I saw a recent YouTube video of some guy in Miami who paid for the experience, and it's a little rough. But I'm going to buy the $2,000 version.
And so, what do you get to do with that?
Well, I think for you meet him at a recording studio, and you get to hang out with him for 5 minutes. But hey,
but you get the vault, and if I'm not mistaken, the vaults are all different, right?
Well, yeah, you get a different. Like my one friend got a Rolex. I'll give him this without naming him. I wouldn't mind a Rolex.
Sure.
So this is not about plugging Gene's vault.
Is that who it is?
That's from what I understand. Because I know with Kickstarter, my favorite Kickstarter was the Quiet Riot one. Mm-hmm. That they used to fund their Netflix documentary,
sure,
which is so critically acclaimed, which shows you
documentary, yeah,
you can get all these great things from Kickstarter. I think it was for $100, you got a free Quiet Riot drumstick or something.
Yeah.
For $500, you got a platinum record, but for $10,000, you could actually be in the documentary.
Yeah, it's always funny to me to see, these super high up perks that people say you can be the executive producer on my album. And I didn't do one of those, and I'll tell you why. I just don't see the point. I know that the real point is it has to be somebody that just wants to contribute and help out, and that's just their way of contributing more. But the Kickstarter platform allows you to do that. If somebody wanted to contribute $10,000 to my record, they could just type in $10,000 and do that. And I think an empty executive producer title just doesn't, I don't think it really makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'd be down for that.
Well, I will happily, just put in your $10,000. I'll write it in right now.
Well, we might have to negotiate the $10,000.
My manager is right here.
I gotta buy a box set.
Wait. So who paid the $10,000 to ask Chuck write the question in the documentary?
Well, that was the great thing. Is the next day I started the Kickstarter to do a documentary about the guy who paid $10,000 to be in the Quiet Riot documentary.
I would watch that documentary.
Was he the guy that asked Chuck write that question?
No, he was the guy. If you watch it again, you'll notice about maybe 50 minutes in, there's this totally random segment of the lawyer who was a huge Quiet Riot fan. They're interviewing him in his bedroom. And it's this is the guy. This is what $10,000 gets you.
Wow.
That's actually pretty cool.
I watched that documentary because you recommended it.
I liked it. You know,
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm a big fan of theirs from when they played the Starwood, which is like
Right.
mini moon when Randy Rhoads was in them. So what did you do? Like little, but like prizes. Like
Yeah, we did some cool ones. We did. I wanted to cover the whole gamut of stuff. You know, like I wanted there to be a lot of different options, and I liked the Protest the Hero Kickstarter. I think they maybe used Indiegogo. It was a different platform, but I liked theirs because it was creative. You know, there's a lot of them. You know, I did a lot of research when we did our Kickstarter, and a lot of them were just you can pre-order the album, or we'll come to your house and we'll play a show, and or you can get the album on vinyl. And there's like it goes from $10 to $30 to $1,000 to $10,000, and that's it. And I wanted to have some tiers for everybody. I wanted to make it fun too. So we have pizza night with me and Josh is one of them. You can.
I'm in on that.
And then actually we kept having to add more because the pizza nights kept selling out. So I think I'm gonna have to go to the gym with me and Josh. But at the gym you guys
And
go
Earl.
to, it'd probably be the most expensive gym.
I don't think that's a selling. But maybe there might be a fan of
of all of us.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
We did one where I'll wear their band T-shirt or their brand shirt or your podcast shirt on stage with Alice.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, I don't. But maybe I can do Beverly Kills.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
So there was a lot of really fun ones, and then we did the higher tier ones, the signed guitars and whatnot. That was really cool.
And is it still ongoing, right?
Yeah, it'll be going on till Star Wars Day, May 4th.
And do you guys want to give out the how do people find it?
Yeah, it's at the top of all my social medias, which is Nita Strauss on Facebook and Hurricane Nita on Twitter and Instagram. And then if you just go to the Kickstarter page and search for my name, Nita Strauss, it'll come up.
And when is the hopeful release for this?
It'll be September of this year.
Around my birthday, September 17th.
Actually, it will be right around your birthday because I get home from tour with Alice, I think September 15th. So it'll be right after that. Happy birthday. You're welcome.
Maybe you do an Earl birthday show.
There you go.
We'll be doing a release party
There will be an album release party. Yeah.
around that date.
Maybe at the Comedy Store.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
It's possible. They had a concert there recently.
All right, let's add the package comedy store. release.
Comedy Store Earl's
15
Skinko birthday
grand.
party.
15 grand.
Yeah, well, we have to rent it out. You pay for it. I mean, that's pretty fair.
Listen,
Standard.
I'm number 9 on iTunes right now. I'll pay for it. Now we start wars. What's going on with that?
We're going to get in the studio as well with that band. We had a little bit of a scheduling conflict, which happens. You try to get 8 people, between the band and producer and engineer and everybody to all be in the same place at the same time. It's really difficult. So we've had some scheduling issues, but we're going to still get in the studio and record with that project as well.
How about this? How about a date with the keyboard player? How much is that? I'd chip in 5.
I'll text her. Can I pimp you out on my Kickstarter?
I mean, no, not for anyone else. I'll just do a private donation.
There you go.
Because I was at the whiskey show.
Does she look like a madam to you, man?
Listen, do you want to get the record made or not?
All right, in that case, get her on the phone.
Now, WrestleMania. I'm a big wrestling fan. And I did not know you were going to be at WrestleMania this year. How did that happen?
We didn't tell anybody. Like, we didn't tell our parents. We were out in New Orleans. That's where Josh is from. Like, we stayed at his parents' house for a couple of days, and we didn't even tell them. They're like, what did you guys come out here for? We said, oh, just, see you. See family. Maybe go to WrestleMania. We'll see. But it was amazing. You want to talk?
Well, my family also was funny because they kind of called me out. They're like, your nephew's birthday is Saturday, right? I'm like, yeah, I can't make it. And they're kind of looking at
Going
me
to
like,
NXT
what?
that day, so
They're like, this guy has his priorities lost. And I just couldn't tell anybody. They told us not to tell anybody. And I think it's kind of a test, and we're like, look, I feel we have to keep it quiet because I think it's building the trust with the company. And kind of like the story goes, 2.5 years ago, she got into wrestling. And
How? Let's not
actually
gloss over this stuff, man.
All right. So you went the in-depth one. All right.
What do you guys got another podcast to do at 4?
Yeah, we got a number 1 comedy guy, so we're gonna.
All right. Well, it's it's a tough business.
Yeah, you know how it is. Okay, so actually, her first time watching wrestling was when Sting came back at WrestleMania. So we're like, Sting is back, and I hadn't watched wrestling in a really long time, so I was like, let's go watch this WrestleMania. She's like, WrestleMania, that's like for kids.
Did you
thought it was like for kids.
did you know who Sting was?
No, I didn't know anybody.
Oh,
was.
that's
I didn't
heartbreaking.
even know that The Rock was a wrestler.
A lot of people don't.
No, I mean, I didn't know. I grew up without TV. I grew up in a house that, we didn't have TV in the house. So like, I had no idea. I didn't know who Sting was. I didn't know about WCW. I didn't know anything. Like, I knew nothing. And when, Josh and I had been dating for a couple months, and I said, what do you want to do this Sunday? He goes, I want to watch WrestleMania. I was like, okay.
So I was curious to, see Sting in a WWE
Me too.
ring to see what happened. And I'm like, it's daylight? What? And I didn't know who any of the people were. Like that ladder match at the beginning, I had no idea who those people were. So we watched it, and she was just sitting there. I'm like, I don't think you realize how cool it is to see this. And she didn't get it. But we went home, or we had the network, and she's like, well, show me some stuff. Why do you like wrestling? I was like, well, you can't look at what you saw the other day. You have to understand where the past came from. So I was like, where do I start? I said, let me show you the Monday Night Wars. So I started showing like the 14-part series that's on the network, which is amazing, by the way. So she watched all of it. She's like, I get it. This is amazing. So she started getting really into it. And I'd come home and she's watching some random Raw 2003. I'm like, what the hell are you watching this for? And she's like, I just, I saw this pay-per-view and I wanted to follow the storyline. So I went backwards.
I didn't understand the feud. I think it makes perfect sense.
Well, I mean, it's it's a soap.
The beauty of the network.
Yeah. The network is the greatest, creation. They do the same thing for UFC. If you're not quite like, where do I start to watch? I mean, it's the same premise. Every single WCW, WWE, NWA, like they have something for everyone.
Yeah, ECW. They have it all.
You can see Sting when he was just a young body.
Young surfer.
Oh, surfer Sting was the
face.
best.
That was my favorite. So we're watching it, and then she continues to get into it, and we're watching NXT. She's like, "Let's watch NXT pay-per-view." I was like,
Take over Brooklyn.
And
she's into it now.
I know now.
We'll question her. You can question her some wrestling stuff because she knows her stuff.
I don't even watch NXT. I like the older guys.
I'm talking about like older stuff. She knows that. So we're watching it, and Shinsuke Nakamura came out. She's like, "Oh my god, this guy's so cool. His music's amazing. His interest is awesome." I was like, "Really? Okay, cool. Yeah, song's cool. Whatever." So next day, I went out to eat with a friend or something. I came back and I saw on her Instagram that she had posted a video. I was like, "You posted that?" And she's like, "Yeah." And her friend Kat, the keyboard player, left her keyboard over at our place, and Nita picked it up, put it out, and started playing Shinsuke's song and posted it on Instagram. She's never played anybody's wrestler entrance before that or since then. So that was 2.5 years ago. So this January, I woke up, I looked at her, and I said, "You're going to play WrestleMania this year, and you're going to play Shinsuke Nakamura out." She's like, "What?" And I go, "Yep, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to find a way to make it happen." So started like just talking to people and, people that I knew, and kind of making phone calls and text messages, and just started, working different angles to make it happen. And, with the final straw was I was on tour with her in Florida like a week before WrestleMania, and I was like, we didn't hear from anybody really. And I was like, you know what? I think I know what's going to make it happen. And I said, I think I know what's going to make it happen. She's like, what? I was like, when we get to your dressing room tonight, I want you to play the song and perform it, and I'm going to film it. She's like, what? I go, yes, that's what I want you to do. She's like, all right. So we filmed it. I sent it off to some people. They sent it up to Flagpole. And then about 2 days later, they said, we want her to play WrestleMania. And just like that, she played Shinsuke Nakamura out at WrestleMania in New Orleans, which is amazing because I'm from New Orleans, huge Saints fan. It's in the Superdome. My first concert I saw was there. And obviously she's kicking ass on top of the world right now. So it was just an amazing, amazing, amazing experience.
Now, what's the adrenaline rush like? I mean, you've been in huge crowds with Alice Cooper, but like I would say wrestling crowds might even rival the adrenaline rush because it's just such testosterone in those crowds. I mean, do you even hear yourself think when you're out there?
No, it was crazy. It was really amazing. I don't really get nervous before going on stage. This was like a really unfamiliar, like uncharted thing for me to be like so amped up. I had nerves, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I hope nothing goes wrong. I was just so excited. I hadn't gotten any sleep for like a week before Mania, and we just got confirmed that week. It was just barely a week before that we knew we were going to do it. So I didn't get any sleep for a whole week. I was just so hyped up, just like running on Monster Energy drinks and lack of sleep. And to be out there with that energy, and that was the match everybody wanted to see. That was the dream match. Everybody, including myself, was so excited to see that match. So being out there in the anticipation and the tension in the room, the arena was completely black. I could barely see where I was walking. They put a little pair of footprints on the ramp to show me where I should stand. And I said, it's okay. So I put my feet on the footprints, and then you could just feel the tension and excitement in the air. And it was really, really amazing to be a part of.
And it's cool. It's like when you look back on it, I mean, I don't know how far you want to get into it, but like, from rehearsals to being in gorilla position, being next to Vince, being, all that stuff was really cool. We're in gorilla position before AJ and Shinsuke came out. When got back her guitar later, it was Brock and Roman in there. We're just like, it was such a amazing thing. And most importantly, man, the WWE people from Vince to Shane to Stephanie to Kevin Dunn to Michael to Triple H there were so many people, everybody, the camera guys, the social media guys, super cool. Treated us the best we've ever been treated by any company, band ever. I mean, it was so amazing the way they treated us. And they were just like, yeah, just like, it's not the last time. This is the first time. You guys are in it with us. And I'm like, just the respect level and how accommodating they were. It was so eye-opening to be like, why can't all companies and band organizations work this way? It was really cool. It was really, really cool.
Well, they don't get it. Like, that's why they're number one. That's why they have no competition. Like,
yeah.
Because they're the best.
It was just like, I grew up watching wrestling as a kid and being in gorilla position and, hearing all this stuff about gorilla and seeing Vince and just seeing all these people that, that what they do and the influence they have and just being so open, just welcoming to us was really, really cool.
Now, for you younger fans out there not knowing what the gorilla position is, that it sounds like a bizarre sexual whatever. It's where Gorilla Monsoon would stand behind the curtain and tell the wrestlers to go out. And believe me, when Gorilla Monsoon told you something, you did it. So it's the best seat in the house because you're like it's like pushing you and Alice Cooper out on stage. It's like, go now.
And now it's closed off. Back then it was just a table by the curtain. Now it's like a closed off area. So that's kind of like holy grail territory to be in. It's kind of like you're only there if you're asked to be there if you're you're working. So there's like Vince and Michael Hayes and Road Dogg. And, Triple H will come in and out of there and you're just like sitting there like, wow, whoa, like, and we got there at noon that day. And I guess you could tell about the rehearsals of the.
Yeah. I mean, what was the sound check process like? Cause I imagine like they're busy setting up the stage and like the crowd's there. So they can't really watch you. Like they don't want you out there. Well, I mean, do you rehearse somewhere else and then just hope it goes well?
Oh, there was no real rehearsal. So there was a sound check. We got there at noon on Sunday, on WrestleMania Sunday. And we got there at noon. We went out stage at 1:00. We ran through it 3 times. And that's when I met Shinsuke on stage that day. And I said to him, I shook his hand. I said, I just want to thank you very, very much for this opportunity to play your music. And he said, well, you're welcome, but to be honest, I didn't know it was happening. So, so really, I had to go back and thank everyone else in the back really for the opportunity. But yeah, we went through it once, and then Shinsuke wanted to watch it back and see what it looked like, see what I was doing, and hear what I was doing, and then we did it twice more, and then they opened the doors, and it was WrestleMania.
And what was cool, it's like we even like going back to they invited us in NXT the night before. They're like, we want you to come meet Triple H. Like, cool. And he came and talked to us and he was so cool. He was just like, yeah, your name had been circulating for a little bit. And just basically like it was a synergy of people we were talking to and him having his pulse on what's going on. And he was just like, yeah, your name kept coming up and we wanted to do something with you. So it was just a matter of everything's just this year for Nita has been the right place, right time, stars aligning. So it was really cool. And what's interesting, they asked us to be there at noon the next day. And, Vince has already been there for a really long time. I think they got there like 8 a.m. I mean, the guy's a beast, and just seeing him work was really interesting. I mean, he's so laser focused, and I'm 5 feet away from the guy, and he's just like just in it, you know. And we got there at noon. They start running it. So my head is the manager side started coming out, and I was like looking. I was like, well, where are they going to put her? Are they going to put her in the back? Is she going to be like the faceless guitar player chick? Like, how is this going to work? You know, I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. We're here. That doesn't matter. We'll make this work. It'll be cool. Like, whatever. And then I saw a bunch of drummers lined up there and stuff. I was like, oh, she's going to get lost out there. It sucks. Whatever. So they're like, okay, we're going to start sound check. So they bring her out and they bring her all the way to the end of the ramp. I'm like, whoa.
It was a sweet position.
And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I'm like, well, wait a second. Are they going to mention her, or is she still going to be a faceless guitar player? So actually, when she was sound checking, the wireless wasn't working at all. And they were like, I don't know if we can do this, have you down here. Is that the furthest you can go? We're going to have to wire you in. She's like, well, you guys wire me in. I have to be at the top. And I was like, oh, God, please don't let this happen. They're like, all right, we're going to figure this out. Went and got another wireless, brought it. It worked. It was like a different kind of wireless, a vocal wireless.
Yeah, it wasn't even a guitar wireless, which is why the guitar sounded a little wonky.
Yeah, it sounded a little wonky when you hear it back. But, you know, I was in Gorilla when she was going out, and I was like recording stuff on her phone. Like right when she was there, it was such a cool experience. She goes out of the curtain like the wrestler, and I'm here watching it in the back with like Vince. I see Vince stand up, and he's like nodding his head's going on. And as it's happening, and I'm like, okay, cool. They gave her the first 10 seconds, let her play, and then they went to the intro, and then they mentioned her, 31 years ago, Alice Cooper, did WrestleMania 3, and now his guitar player, superstar, Nita Strauss is playing out, superstar, rock star Shinsuke Nakamura. I was like, yes, they mentioned her. It was just like, it couldn't have gone any better. And it was just amazing. And then they filmed stuff with her afterwards that they put out on social media. And then they did a thing with a spot with Elias, with her.
He's funny.
He's cool. Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. I mean, all the experiences through the weekend were really amazing. Like hanging out with the wrestlers and stuff like that. But as far as like the playing wise, it couldn't have gone any better. I mean, you could not have asked for anything better. She was featured right in the front.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just and named. That's amazing. And they did stuff on her and released her out on social media. And we just got this, they sent us the stats today of everything that she was mentioning. It was pretty staggering. And everything changed with her overnight. It was just really cool to see. And that's all thankful to the WWE because they were really amazing people.
I mean, I love the WWE. I mean, they brought Sting back. I mean, I wish it would have ended a little better, but who knows? Maybe you could play Sting.
Yeah.
He's got that Alice Cooper type, one more match with The Undertaker.
Crow Sting.
I hope so.
Of course.
Why don't you tell your experiences meeting the wrestlers and stuff?
Like, who was your favorite? Like, because I'm assuming, like, you knew who Triple H was and some of the more famous ones, but like, who was your favorite wrestler to go, oh my God, I want to meet this person? It
was so funny because we were around everybody and we just didn't want to get in the way. We were the new kids on the block and we didn't really want to, we were at catering and we saw Shawn Michaels and everybody there. And there's nothing worse than someone bothering you when you're eating at catering. It's happened to me 1,000 times. And I didn't want to be that guy that's like, hey, can you put your fork down and talk to me for a second?
Right.
So it was funny, being sort of like fringe, circling around these people and just not wanting to bother them. So it was cool being a fly on the wall and seeing it happen. But the funniest one that we met for sure was the Big Show, because I was in my dressing room. We got a text from WWE's music supervisor, and he said, Big Show's at catering and he wants to meet you.
Really?
And we were like, okay, like we're on our way. So we're just, we had to run around the whole Superdome. My dressing room was all the way on the other end. And we ran down there, and Big Show, in front of everybody, in front of Shawn Michaels, in front of, there's every single wrestler on the rosters and catering at that point.
Like 70 people in the back at this point.
And Big Show stands up and in his big booming voice, he goes, oh my God, Nita Strauss, I've been wanting to meet you for so long. And he just put me over in front of everybody like crazy. I've been wanting to meet you. Does everybody know who this girl is? This girl is the best female guitar player in the world, maybe the best guitar player in the world. And I was going, no, I don't know. He goes, come on, I want to take a picture with you. He pulled us right out to the side where you could see the WrestleMania sign and stuff and took a picture with us. And if you look at the picture, I'll send it to you.
Please.
The size of this guy's hand, you see his hand on my shoulder. It's actually much bigger than my head.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
insane.
he's a big dude.
He's so
Super
cool
nice.
too. Super cool.
I think most of them are like.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
know, it's like in any. I'm sure there's a few musicians who maybe aren't.
Nobody was
The
rude.
greatest.
Nobody by any stretch of the imagination was rude or not cool. Just some weren't pass by and say, they wouldn't like. Some would say, a lot of them was like, "Hey, what's up? My name's whatever." But some of them were just to themselves, which is whatever.
Right.
That's the way. Maybe they don't want to be bothered. Maybe they don't have to say hello to everybody. But everybody we met was really cool. The funniest thing is, so Nita watches, wrestling, and some of the people like she's just not a fan of, like their character or whatever.
Right.
And it's very weird. Like when I say something, it usually happens. So I have to watch what I say because sometimes really weird things happen. But I'm like, what if when we get there, everybody that you're not a fan of, wrestling wise, character wise, just loves you? And she's like, oh, please, whatever. And one of the first people that we see, we're actually in the elevator with him, is the guy Elias. And I've liked his character since the beginning.
He's funny.
I told her in the beginning, I was like, that guy's going to be something. I don't know what it is, but he's going somewhere. She's like, oh, I just don't get it.
I don't like crappy guitar players. He's a crappy guitar player.
And that's his gimmick. His gimmick is that's his
But
thing.
why is he a crappy guitar player? Let's break this down for the rest, because we get a lot of wrestling fans because of me being on Rowdy Piper's podcast.
Right.
What makes Elias a crappy guitar player?
Well, I mean, he's sort of like that guitar player that all guitar players hate having to deal with, that we all have had to deal with. And now that I get that it's his gimmick, I don't really, now I don't hate him as much. But I remember him, he was coming out and he's just this egotistical jerk, which is his character. I don't think it's him. I don't think
Right.
it's coming from him, but his character is just like this jerk who thinks he's so great when he's really not a proficient guitar player. And as a guitar player, that's what I do. I go, oh gosh, another one of these. And
Right.
I'm just like, and of course we meet him and he's so nice.
He's
so
so
humble
cool.
and so
So
cool.
cool.
Like I was like, oh shit.
Such a cool guy, so nice. Like we got along immediately. I got a picture of them too in Gorilla with his guitar. and
Oh,
her
really?
guitar. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like he was actually just one of the nicest guys we met. But he was like the first guy we ran into, and he was in the elevator with us. And so I'm like,
We were actually staying in the rooms across the hall from each other at the hotel.
and I was like, I was like, see, look at that. What do you know? Here's one, And as the weekend progressed, every single person that she wasn't a Big Show was one of them. She doesn't like the big guys, like the Vaders and all that. She's more, tell me who you like.
Dolph Ziggler.
Thanks for throwing me under the bus.
No, well, I mean, it's not as a person. It's just, who do you like to watch?
You like Dolph Ziggler,
I
I
don't
bet.
like Dolph. So give me a little bit of credit here.
I mean,
I like watching more technical wrestlers. I like Rey Mysterio and RVD. Like I like high flyers. I like watching 205 Live and watching the guys that are like doing cool stuff.
Like the luchador guys, she likes the high flyers. So, it's just a preference thing, But like a lot of the people that we had met, like all the ones that she was like, I'm not a fan of their character. I'm not a fan of how they are on TV, were the ones that we got to hang out with a lot. And we're all super, super cool and loved her. Like somebody's like, oh, hey, oh my God, I'm a huge fan. And it was just so funny how things happen and things work themselves out. But everybody was really, really cool to us, man. We went to the after party at WrestleMania night. Like we got to hang out with a bunch of the people and everybody was just blown away, and we're just like, oh my God, I saw that performance. It gave me chills and all that stuff. It was just so cool to see like the two worlds collide and the respect level, from performers from what they do and performers from what she does. It was a main topic conversation. And it's cool because it's not like she was in a band that was playing. It was the guitar player of the band that was there. I mean, she was featured and spotlighted. So it's very, very cool to see.
Did you meet Ronda Rousey?
Yeah, we actually we went over to Ronda's and barbecued yesterday.
Really?
Which was really cool. Yeah.
I mean, she's that was a very I think there are a lot of concerns about how she would do, and
A lot.
I mean, it's two totally different real fighting, and
What were your thoughts on that match?
I mean, I don't want to burn any bridges for you guys. She's great. I mean, she did better than I thought. I mean, it's.
What didn't you like about the match?
Well, I think I know wrestling is scripted, but I think wrestling fans now like almost a hint of realism, and it's I think hard to sell her as an ass kicker. She could kill me in 2 seconds, but since the way her MMA career ended, with 2 pretty bad losses, it's a tough sell to go, she's the toughest woman on the planet. But I mean,
I could see that, but I mean, on the fighting aspect, if you look at like somebody like Mike Tyson, who his last 5 fights were awful. I mean, he's still like, I don't want to mess with Mike Tyson right now.
Oh no, I don't want to mess with Ronda either. Like, I think the more believable storyline would be if Cyborg were brought in as a total villain, and then but Ronda's great. Like, she's because she had a incredible relationship with Rowdy Piper, and she kind of takes after that. I could see her being a bad girl or a face.
I mean, I was skeptical watching them. I think everybody was.
I wasn't. I knew she was going to be amazing.
Well, just watching the fact. I mean, obviously she's a great athlete. The hardest part about wrestling in general is not doing the moves so much. I mean, it's obviously a huge part of it, but it's the selling part of it. It's the theatrical part of it. And when we're watching the match, you're like, man, okay, let's see what happens. A lot of people thought that it could be a squash match and end fast. It was a full match. And she did a really good job selling, and she did a really good job, even like just the different spots of picking up Triple H. I mean, there was a lot of stuff in that match that was like, wow. And you see, if you look at it, it's like the selling that she did, the facial expressions, the way they told the story and the way it moved. I mean, that's a pretty damn good debut, I thought.
Oh, I think it's the best debut I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like,
it was really, really good. I thought she did an amazing job. I really do.
I mean, she has the potential to be a huge star in pro wrestling if she takes it seriously, which I think she is.
Yeah.
She strikes me as the type that's not going to do anything half-ass.
Yeah, definitely. She's got a ring set up at her place. Like she said, she practices every single day. She's really taking it seriously.
So, because I think she respects Roddy so much. I think that was his jacket that she had on.
It was, yeah.
Which is, I've had that jacket on. Like, it's a religious experience to put that jacket on. And you just...
That was so crazy when you think about that. When Roddy died, like, I was supposed to come here.
He was supposed to, the day he passed, he was on it. Well, he was supposed to be on his way here.
I remember you invited me the day before.
Yeah.
At the gym. You're like, he's going to be there tomorrow. You should come over. I'm like, okay.
And, I was all excited, and I even called him that morning and was like, hey, I got your favorite water. He liked Dasani. And
you talked to him that morning?
No, I talked to him the night before. I still have the voicemail. I cry every time I hear it because you could tell he was tired. And, looking back, I just thought he was tired. But, he probably was a little bit more than that. And I called him and said, hey, I got your water. And someone texted me back. I think it was his wife, Kitty. And they just said, you're not going to, I think it already passed. So,
yeah, I texted you leaving the gym to come over here. And I was like, hey, somebody just texted me. Is this true? And you're like, yeah, he died.
Oh my God. I cried like more than I did when my parents, but I was just like, because he was so, he's like a superhero. Like, so.
I met him one time and he was, I've like Piper since I was a kid, and he was so cool about meeting him was he was like the kind of guy, like when you met him, he was listening to you and made you feel like you were the only person in the room when he was
absolutely.
talking to you. He was really good at that. And I saw him do that to a lot of, everybody he was talking to. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I actually got to tell him, like, as I was, when I was a kid growing up, I always looked up to you because you were like the guy that like stood up, and I always respected that. He's like, man, thank you very much for telling me that. So.
Well, he would like come to the comedy store, and he wasn't the best comic, I'll be honest with you. And he would agree with me. He's looking down on me. But he would tell these amazing stories. He would do like 10 minutes of jokes, and then he'd kind of fade pretty fast. And he'd rely on us to ask questions in the back, and no one would have the guts to ask him anything except for me. So I would ask him like the stupidest questions, like,
Like what would you ask him?
Like, was Kamala really from Uganda? And Kamala was from South Carolina.
Right.
And just done like, how big were Mark Henry's shits? And he would have a Mark Henry story for 20 minutes.
Sure.
Not necessarily about his bowel movements, but like,
Hopefully not.
Well, he did have one for me, but you would just throw him something and he could go on for 20 minutes, and then so he was just I think he's the only non-stand-up to have his name on the Comedy Store wall.
Oh, wow.
So I know you could see in Rhonda's eyes and her actions, like she's going, I'm not going to disrespect Roddy by, because there have been some celebrities who've tried to cross over to wrestling that it's, even like when Alice did WrestleMania with Jake the Snake, he brought out Damien.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell he was here's a Rock beyond a legend, but he was in their world and he was very respectful of like, okay, I'm not at Cobo Hall. This is.
He didn't try to make it about him.
Right.
Which I thought was really cool.
And I think a lot of, like Trump probably did. It's crazy that our president's in the
Hall of Fame.
But I was going to say, like, when you say that, when you think about the Trump and wrestling connection, I mean, if you watch those old matches where Vince has his head shaved and stuff with Trump, that's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. I thought.
Whether you love Trump or you hate him, if you go back on the network and type in Donald Trump and you watch that storyline develop, I mean, that is when they bring out the barber chair and they're shaving Vince's head. I mean, like, you cannot not laugh watching that, no matter what your feelings are about politics.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love Vince. I mean, Vince will do anything to like make the storyline completely real. Yeah. That's why I think we all love wrestling, because it's a fantasy world. Like, you work incredibly touring and recording is, mundane, I guess, at some points for you. And like to watch the network is probably like, it's a stress release of, oh my God, the Big Show just fell off a building. I wonder if he's alive.
No, really, Stone Cold just filled that guy's car up with cement. Like,
yeah, like
car.
I want you this weekend to look up Capital Combat.
Okay.
1991, when Sting was kicked out of the Four Horsemen, and the Four Horsemen were beating him up, and RoboCop.
Oh God!
All right,
I don't think you haven't seen that.
No,
Oh, my
It
God.
Well, let's
is.
go watch WCW, because if I put it on, I have to
awful.
listen to this the whole time.
It's awful.
It's so bad, it's good, because
That's how it sounds like at our house when I put WCW
I'm like,
on.
why? What? I was never a fan of that.
And then he'll just get on his
Never.
phone and sulk until I change it.
but it's the greatest, because no one. This would have never have happened with Vince.
Never.
But they didn't figure out that, it's going to take rope. You've walked the ramp. You're very able-bodied, so
Sure.
it probably took you 20 seconds to get into your position.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't think, RoboCop can't move. He literally, because it's it's the real costume. It's going to take him 20 minutes to get to Sting. So they had to improvise for 20 minutes.
Well, don't ruin it. I want to watch it.
Absolutely. No, I won't.
I
but
want to watch it. This is our date night now.
Yes.
Happy Friday, baby.
Yeah. So you'll why don't you cook Nita some dinner while she watches the 20-minute RoboCop walk?
Yeah, baby. Why don't you cook me some dinner?
Yep, right in the microwave.
Right. I mean, come on, she got you in the gorilla position at WrestleMania. And most guys would kill.
I think it was a collaboration, but yeah,
Well, you got her there, but she got.
it was a group effort, and
Definitely
we
a team
both-
effort.
We lived, it was awesome.
Okay, I'll cook dinner.
Oh yeah.
No, you're not
It was
cooking dinner. I'm
for both of us, so it was cool. Yeah.
Now this is where we cut off the Facebook Live.
So where
But-
we going to? What are we going into next?
We're going to iTunes and SoundCloud, and we have an Alice Cooper alumni
Who's that?
in the Facebook Live. Currently, the drummer in Kiss, Mr. Eric Singer,
Whoa.
Singer?
is waving hello.
Guys?
What's up?
Er-
Have not met any of the drummers of Kiss.
Well, you're not going to meet one of them. It's going to be real tough to meet Eric Carr. It's going to be tough, but Peter Criss is, he's around.
Yeah.
Vinnie Vincent will be at the Nashville Rockin' Pod. Maybe,
Chuck Garrett
Hey,
will be there also.
get
maybe.
your box set signed. I've told that story a bunch of times, like ever since Vinnie Vincent's come back. You should bring the box set, the empty box set that he sent, and get it signed.
It's a bone of, it's possible.
I mean, it'd be great. Like, this is what I got, and I received nothing. So, can you sign this?
Well, Vinny has come out and said he's going to make it right with all the people he's
Really?
whose shipments got lost.
Really?
Like, is he in the program? Is he making amends?
Well, I think he's got other issues at the moment other than his box set, but he says he's going to give each fan who ordered one a second free box set.
Really?
I don't really want. I just want the one I paid for.
Right.
I don't want a fucking second one.
I've told that story like 3 times in the last week because it's so hilarious.
Well, I mean, were you a Vinnie Vincent fan?
I mean, I liked that double V guitar that he had, but as far as anything else, not so much.
Because well, I've always wanted to get a guitar player's view on him. Like, I'm just a fan. I can't play. To me, he maybe overindulged a little bit in the solos. It's like, dude, I know you can play. How about letting the song breathe?
Right.
He was very different from the typical Kiss style.
But I felt he was the perfect fit. I don't know if Ace could have played with Kiss in the 80s because they wanted a Jakey Lee, George Lynch, DeMartini type of faster playing, I guess. And I'm not saying Ace couldn't play that, but maybe he wasn't the right fit. He was the perfect fit at the time.
Well, there's that great quote from Ace where he said, if I would have known I was going to inspire that many guitar players, I would have practiced more. And I think that is the perfect way to say it. He's not really that super innovator guitar player. I mean, he is a guitar player that a lot of other guitar players copy, but he's not that guy that you're going to say Ace Frehley can play stuff that no one else can play, like Steve Vai or Jakey Lee or, or Brad Gillis or any of those guys that are just the super virtuoso players. So Vinnie Vincent definitely was more on that level of playing and that speed than Ace was, I would say.
Here's a cool Kiss story that actually relates to a couple days ago. Paul Stanley, we're at the ASCAP Awards, and a lot of people don't know, but Nita used to play for LA Kiss, and she would play the national
football team, not the cover band.
And she used to play the national anthem. And so she had met. Actually, why don't you tell the story?
The arena football team.
Yeah.
The arena football team, yeah. Which story are you talking about?
So she was playing for the LA Kiss team, so they knew who she was and whatever. Her last day, Paul Stanley came up to her and said, well, okay, hold on. The video of her playing the national anthem is what was sent to Bob Ezrin to have them look at her to see if she could play an Alice Cooper. And the last day.
Yeah, the last day at the LA Kiss games, I was leaving the arena and I knew I was leaving, mid-season to go join the Motley Crue tour. And Paul was walking in, I was walking out. We were about 20 feet from each other. And I was going to say bye. And then I just didn't want, it was again, like I just didn't want to bug him. He was walking with a purpose. He seemed busy. I was like, I'll just send an email and say thank you. But I think I just waited. I said, bye, Paul. Thank you very much. And he said, Nita. And he turned and walked like 20 feet back to me, completely out of his way. And he said, I'd heard that we're losing you. We're all really, really bummed out. We're sad that it's your last day. But if we have to lose you to any organization, I'm really glad that it's Alice Cooper. We shared a drummer for a while. Hey, Eric.
The great Eric Singer.
Yeah.
He said, we shared a drummer for a while. It's a great camp. I know Eric will be the first one to agree with me on that, how amazing the Alice Cooper camp is to be a part of. And he said, if we have to lose you to anybody, I'm really glad it's Alice Cooper. You're going to do really well there.
And you have.
And it goes full circle. 3 days ago, she was able to say.
I told him that. Yeah, I told Paul that story at the ASCAP Pop Awards, how much that meant to me.
Well, I mean, like Paul Stanley says something. It's like,
well, it was just so kind, like it's stuff like that really stands out to me when someone goes out of their way to be kind in this business, like the WWE was with us. They treated us like rock stars, so when somebody goes out of their way to make you feel special and make you feel like a rock star and make you feel wanted there, it's one thing to say, when my first day, when I met Gene, I said, thank you very much for the opportunity. He said, you're very welcome. Very glad to have you on board. And that was that. I was really thankful, but to have Paul really go out of his way to say, I know this is what's happening. We're going to miss you around here. Thank you for your time. And you're going to do really well with Alice. Like, it really meant a lot to me.
I'm surprised Gene didn't try and sell you a box set.
Special LA Kiss one with a commemorative program.
Don't put it in his head. No, we're going to cut off the Facebook Live. So for the Facebook Live people, we got a Kickstarter. We want you. Nita's one of the coolest. support her. You like her music. It all helps if we all chip in a little bit. So where can people find it? Say it again for the fans on all your social media sites.
Yeah, I'll post the link here in the comments. I'll find it. But my Facebook is Nita Strauss, NITASTRAUSS, and I'm Hurricane Nita on the Instagram and the Twitter.
All right, guys, I don't ask you guys for much other than leave a goddamn review for this podcast. It's really not that hard. If you're not going to leave a review on the podcast, go to Nita's Kickstarter. Buy Beverly Kills clothing. Josh, stick out your chest for a second. I mean, it really is. They got some great shirts, and as a person who deals with a lot of shitheads in my business, ego kills. They've got a lot of great sayings on their shirts that you will love being seen in. Josh, where can people check that out?
On social media, it's Beverly Kills CA. And you can go to beverlykills.com and everything's there. And then my social media is the Josh V as in Victor.
All right, guys, you're going to have to go on iTunes to listen to the rest. Inappropriate Earl, SoundCloud, and iTunes. I love you all. All right, Nita, now that we got all the plugs out of the way. I was recently on Netflix, saw the Twisted Sister documentary, the Quiet Riot documentary, and then I popped on because I am friends with Brent Fitz. The great drummer, another Alice Cooper drummer. He was in for a bit.
Right.
Currently with Slash, with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. That's Jesus Christ.
Hell of a band.
A great Todd Kearns, Frankie on rhythm guitar. There was a documentary called Hired Guns.
Yes.
That I did not know you were in. I was watching because Jason Hook was in it. I think it's his documentary.
He was a big part of it. I think it was him and a couple other people that put the whole thing together. Yeah.
And I loved it.
It was cool.
Because it kind of bummed me out about the drummer from Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Liberty DeVito.
I mean, that's why I never want to meet people because he seemed a little on the, I don't know.
Bitter?
I mean, I'm sure he's a great guy. But like you were great, Alice was great, talking about, being a hired gun. Like,
yeah.
Do you like that label or?
Oh, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind being called a female guitar player either. If it's what I am, it's what I do. You might as well say I'm a guitar player from LA. So being a hired gun, that's what I do. I'm a hired guitar player, and maybe it'll get the word out there, and more people will hire me.
Well, I mean, I don't like calling you a female guitar player. Like, I saw this bass player by the name of Tal Wilkenfeld.
I love her.
And everyone, I hate it when people call her a female bass player.
But that's what she is.
But just call her a bass player.
No, that's what she is too. But I'm saying, if I spend a bunch of time getting all bummed out about everybody that said that I'm a blonde female guitar player, how could I really get that bummed out about it? I'm sitting here as a blonde female guitar player talking to you about stuff. So it just is what it is. It's kind of the same thing with hired gun. I could say, well, I'm not a hired guitar player. I'm just a guitar player. But reality is I do get paid to play other people's songs on the guitar. So that's just what it is.
But do you find, and I think I asked you this before, but I have so many new listeners now.
Fancy.
Well, hard work pays off, I guess.
Yes.
If you're a nice person, good things could happen to you.
Definitely.
I don't know how Vinny and Mark St. John, I'll even throw a Mark St. John reference out there. I love Animalize, but I think I just lost listeners saying that. He wasn't in Kiss for very long, but I'm sure they were under pressure to sound like Ace, and I'm sure Bruce Kulick was told, even when they were playing the 80s stuff, sound like Vinny. Were you ever told that, or did Alice say, just give my songs your spin?
A little more at the beginning. They gave me more direction at the beginning, but I think once they saw how well we gelled, there's 3 guitar players in the band. It's myself and Ryan Roxy and Tommy Henriksen. And you're nodding because so many bands Ryan has been in.
I mean, I saw Ryan when he was in Glam Nation with Eric Singer.
What about Candy?
I'm a big...
What about DPM?
Pornos for not
Bad
pornos for
Porno
pirate.
Mag.
Yes, with Mike Fasano on
Mike
drums.
Fasano and Carrie Kelly was it?
Carrie Kelly was in so many bands. His resume is going to be 100 pages.
No, it is really, and Ryan will be the first person to say I steal this quote from Ryan and I credit him all the time. I've been in 100 bands, 99 that you never heard of, and that's what gets you to Alice Cooper. I'm sure Eric Singer has been in 100 bands, 99 of which you never heard of, and so has Red Beach, and so have Al Pitrelli and all the amazing guitar players that have gone before me in Alice Cooper.
What band was he in when you gave him a ride?
Ryan Roxy.
Yeah.
I gave him Eric Singer.
Gave him a ride,
Tell her the
exactly.
story.
I gave. This is a great Eric Singer story.
We are in West Hollywood.
I gave 5 guys a ride to Kiss. This shows you how tight with the dollar Gene can be. Eric Singer had called me up and said, "Hey, I got 2 tickets to see Kiss. I think Skid Row was opening for them at the Pond, which is the Honda Center. I think when you played it.
That's where the LA Kiss games were.
And
Synchronicity.
I said to Eric, "Well, I only need 1 ticket." He's like, "Well, you got to buy both." I'm like, "Well, I only need 1." He's like, "Well, Gene made me buy both."
Right.
Like he was in Kiss.
Right.
Like I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, so I had to buy 2 tickets from Eric Singer and give him a ride to the concert with Ryan Roxy, Teddy Andreas,
Teddy Zigzag.
yes, and Stefan Adika.
Oh my gosh, Ryan! I'm gonna make Ryan listen to this, and he's gonna laugh so hard because we talk about all those names all the time.
Well, I'm obsessed with Stefan Adika, who was, I think, the 12th bass player in LA Guns. And they were constantly berating my driving skills because I was nervous. Like, I didn't really know Eric. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the car with the drummer from Kiss. Like, it's kind of starstruck. And he's kind of yelling at me to go here and go with shortcuts and let's stop off at a deli. He could get a deal for 5 sandwiches.
You're like, all right, the stardom has worn off.
Yeah, it's like about halfway up to 5. I'm like, this fucking sucks. And Ryan Roxy's calling me Kennedy because my aunt is Ethel Kennedy.
Right.
I'm not trying to impress you, but Ryan Roxy was very obsessed with that. So he's never to this day called me Earl. He's
Right.
Kennedy. So we get to the concert. I said, guys, I'll meet you inside. I got to unload this extra ticket. So I go in where all the scalpers are. I sell the ticket for $100. Long story short, halfway through the concert, the guy sits next to me and goes, "Hey, bro, how much did you pay for your ticket?" And I knew this was the guy who had to buy it from the scalpers. I'm like, "Oh, dude, I don't remember it. How much did you pay for your ticket?" He's like, $700.
What?
So that shows you how much first of all, Eric, you're probably listening to this going, "Wow, I could have made another $600." Sorry. So that just goes to show you the markup. And then, I dropped off Ryan Roxy and Stefan at, there was a band in LA called the Peppermint Creeps that were, they wore,
Did they have pink hair?
Yes.
And like white face paint?
Yes, they were.
Band had a girl's name.
They weren't the best, technical band. They were like a cult, kind of a cartoon,
kind of like glam punk rock sounding, right? I just remember they have flyers everywhere. They have flyers at every rehearsal studio and every.
Yeah, I mean, they're if Stardom was based on
the band was named Tracy or Lizzie or
yeah,
Charlie or
all 3.
Right.
Well, you just named every band.
Probably not Charlie because Charlie could be a boy's name.
Well, I mean, listen,
Ryan
Vinny
will text me and tell me which one it is.
And I dropped them off at some party the Peppermint Creeps were playing at, and I'll just never forget pit bulls were running around unchained, and Ryan Roxy just thought it was the greatest thing on earth. And then Corey Feldman came in to sing a few tunes, and he just introduced me to Corey Feldman as his, "Hey, this is my good friend Kennedy." I'm like, "My name's really Earl."
Ryan to this day still does find the most interesting parties to go to.
I'll never forget this party. It was on Highland, right across from where you guys played outdoors for Jimmy Kimmel. It was literally across, and it was just it's like the bar in Star Wars with dogs running
Cantina
around.
Band.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it was.
Peppermint Creeps was the Cantina Band.
Oh, I meant the crowd. The Peppermint Creeps were on the neck. They were like, they were. I mean, I'll just never forget that night. And I don't think I've been in a room with Ryan Roxy since.
Next time we're all in LA, we'll come over and we'll all do the podcast.
Oh, I would love to have Ryan.
Steph and Adika.
Oh, I mean, Stefan has a big show coming out. I'm surprised you're not involved in this. May 19th at some winery. Eric Singer's playing. There you go. Well, I'll leave it at that.
Well, what's the show?
It's a private. This guy owns a winery, and
is this the thing in Santa Barbara?
Yes.
I do know about this actually.
Paso Robles.
Yeah, I think I do know about this, but no, I'm not doing it.
Okay, well, maybe there might be a future. From what I understand, this guy is whoever owns it is some rich dude who likes
a big rock fan, likes to support the scene.
Yeah. So,
well, who's playing it?
Well, it's like glam. It's a Glam Nation reunion. So it's Teddy.
It's not Glam Nation without Ryan. I hope Ryan's going to be there.
Well, I'll let him, Stefan, and Eric hash out the details. But if you're in the Paso Robles area, May 19th,
this whole thing feels like Wayne's World too.
It really is. Well, I was such a Glam Nation fan because they did like Bowie and covers, and it was really Derek Sherinian was in it for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Eric Dover, another, I think, Alice Cooper alumni. Really, if you work for Alice Cooper, you work.
Derek Sherinian, another Alice Cooper alumni.
The upside down keyboard, Billy Idol and whatnot. So, but enough about other projects. You were recently on the cover of what magazine, Nita?
Guitar Player.
And that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. As a guitar player growing up and reading magazines, you always get that thing in your head, like someday, like Rockstar, if I work hard enough and if I want it bad enough, that could be me. And definitely, going into a Barnes and Noble in Florida and seeing myself there, looking back at myself on the cover of a magazine was really amazing. I cried in the Barnes and Noble.
Really?
I totally did. Well, because I was a bookworm kid, I wasn't very social as a kid. I'm still not very social now, but I didn't have a lot of friends. I spent a lot of time at bookstores reading guitar magazines. Out of Barnes and Noble out here in the Valley. So to go into a Barnes and Noble and to see myself there on the cover of the magazines that I grew up reading, it was huge. So amazing.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm assuming, were you the first female cover?
No. I think they've had Bonnie Raitt and probably Ori has probably been on, Orianthi's probably been on it. And I think if someone, told me on social media, I think there have been 7 covers. I could be wrong. Someone will correct me, I'm sure. I think there have been 7 covers with females on them, but of the 7, 2 were Bonnie Raitt. So 6 women total.
That's pretty
it's still a pretty small number. Yeah, it's still, it's still a pretty small number when you think of the vast amount of covers of Guitar Player magazine there have been.
Which is another thing that's cool is her column in Guitar World just started last month as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that entail?
So it's called Like a Hurricane, and it's a monthly column in Guitar World, just basically breaking down some techniques and theory, and it's really for the intermediate player. I didn't want to, there are so many amazing columnists in Guitar World that are really over the top doing technique, crazy stuff that I couldn't even dream of playing, and so I want to do something for the intermediate guitar player that's like, I want to learn how to shred. I can play some scales and chords, like what's the next step? So that's what Like a Hurricane's all about.
Now, don't you have a big guitar endorsement?
I do. Yeah, that is a first female. I'm the first female to have a signature Ibanez guitar, which was absolutely mine. Again, I just been crying about it nonstop because it's all my heroes are Ibanez players. The reason I started playing guitar, Steve Vai and Satriani and Paul Gilbert, all those guys are Ibanez guitar players. So to have a signature Ibanez guitar, to be the only female up there on the site, was really amazing.
I believe Paul Stanley is with Ibanez.
Paul Stanley has an Ibanez signature. Yes, actually, I have a PS10 at home now.
Now, what do you get? Like your own? Like I know he has like the mirrored guitar.
Mm-hmm. Mine doesn't. Just because I'm a girl, it doesn't have to have a mirror on it.
But like, do you have input into like you're gonna have a signature line out at some point?
So it came out in January, and it's just the one right now. It's just the first initial model, and I wanted to do something that was kind of universal, that could appeal to a lot of different musicians, not just like, a female guitar player is a subset of a subset of a subset. So I want to do something that could appeal to a lot of people. So it's neutral colors. It's really fast playing. It's a black to natural maple burst, so it looks like black and blonde. And it's really pretty guitar, and the response has been totally amazing.
And how do people get one? Like,
so right now it's available for pre-order. You can pre-order it from Guitar Center, Musician's Friend, Sweetwater, American Musical. Basically anywhere you can buy an Ibanez guitar, you can pre-order my guitar. And it's called the Ibanez Jiva, and then they are expected to ship in August of this year.
oh wow.
And also, she first female to have DiMarzio pickups.
Signature pickups,
Yep.
yeah. So it'll come preloaded with my signature pickups from DiMarzio, which are the DiMarzio Pandemonium.
Well, even though I don't play, I want one.
You should have one. It would look really good up here next to your Vince Neil Exposed poster.
With the great Steve Stevens.
The amazing Steve Stevens. I will always say, what is it? The Edge on the track 5 on Vince Neil Exposed with the flamenco intro. Amazing.
Well, I turned people on his flamenco album.
Flamenco a go-go. It's insane. It's so good.
I mean, if you...
I put that on the other day and Josh was like, what are you listening to?
it's amazing. And you have people listen to it and they're like, wow, this is great. Who's playing this?
Steve Stevens, the ray gun guy.
But then you show them the picture of Steve Stevens, who looks like a Jersey Shore housewife.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh.
His wife, who is...
Oh, Josie. Is
Yeah.
like, I mean...
Talk about, what do they call it? Batting out of your league or throwing outside your coverage?
Right.
The draft is on?
I think it's both. Yes, we have the draft on. I am not allowed due to NFL copyright laws to show footage from the draft, but I'm a Steeler man. You guys have a split team, right? I
We're a
mean,
Rams Saints household.
why did I get a Seahawks vibe from you guys?
Saints first.
Well, okay.
And who did they draft yesterday?
I don't watch the draft.
The Saints had an interesting pick yesterday because they traded up for their pick and everyone thought they were going to take a quarterback and they took a running back. Is that right?
Right.
They took somebody that basically they traded their first round pick next year and they traded up from number 27 to number 14 and they, if I remember correctly, they gave up their first round pick next year and their 5th round pick and something else. And they got sort of like untested, untried player who's, I mean,
Saints always do some wacky stuff.
It's an
just
aggressive
sometimes-
move.
I'm waiting for the guy with no hand to get drafted. That guy's amazing. Did you see that guy?
Has he not been drafted yet?
Not yet, but he has I think it's left hand. And at the combine, I still don't know how he did this.
He's a defensive back, right?
I think he's a lineman.
He's a lineman.
He set the record for this year's for the bench press.
Really?
Like if they,
With one hand?
he did 225 pounds like 25 times.
This is a weird question to ask, but did he use both arms?
Well, I mean, I was like, wow, if this guy ever quits
Did he literally
football.
do it with one hand,
Well, no, he had
like one arm.
something on.
the other arm,
I think
like
they
an
might have put
apparatus.
like not a fake hand, but like something where.
Something. So he was using both arm
Yeah,
muscles.
but,
that was my question.
I
didn't watch.
Should be the drummer in Def Leppard if it's football.
I sat next to him on a plane. Actually,
Really?
I sat next to Rick Allen on a plane. It
And
was
did you
really
like
cool.
say, hey, do you guys know each other at all or no?
No, we I didn't know him, and again, it was one of those situations where you don't want to bother.
Right.
But I was, I knew we were on a festival together, but I do know Phil Collin. So thankfully, the rest of the guys in the band and their tour manager, who I did know, were sitting nearby us, and they said, "Oh, does everybody know Nita?" And then I was in. I was totally in. And Rick Allen explained to me how to use the photo filter app that he likes, and it was, it was interesting to see someone just totally function so normally. He set his phone down on the divider between the two seats and then he would push the buttons on the phone. And I was thinking how weird that he doesn't even think twice about not holding the phone with the other hand,
Right.
So it was cool. It's cool seeing someone just function completely and totally normally like that.
Oh, I mean, I saw them with Cheap Trick and Poison, and I was like,
Right.
wow, you really like, you don't even, he's so good, you don't
hear
even
it.
like.
You saw him play, right?
Yeah, we were on our way down to Mexico to do a festival together. And then we played the following, like a month after that in Sao Paulo together too, or in Rio, Rock in Rio.
You don't see that he has one arm. Like you don't like.
You don't notice it and you don't
Yeah.
hear it. You don't hear it either. You would think that there would be like a disconnect. Like you would hear spot,
Right.
spot. And it was, the way that he does it with the feet is so seamless. I was just really impressed.
Would
I
it
guess
be?
after all this time, you would be pretty seamless at it. But
Yeah, I mean, he's only had one arm for so long. I see. I think the photograph video was the last video they did with when
With
he
the
had
two
two
arms.
arms, and it was
Was
like
it 84 that he
Yeah.
lost his arm? So I mean, he's had one arm since before I was born. So I guess he's been, he's got it down now.
What year were you born?
86,
Oh.
December of 86.
That's the great Kane Roberts was just
So awesome.
Would you ever play his bazooka guitar?
He doesn't even have it anymore.
Who has it?
It's a collector.
I want
a
it.
collector has. I want it too. But I did rock and roll fantasy camp with Kane last week, and we had done another fantasy camp before and I played on Kane's new record. I did a guest solo on his record.
Really?
Yeah.
He has a new record coming
He
out?
has a new record coming out.
I'm a fan.
I'm a huge fan. I'm a big, big, big fan. I always beg Alice if we can put more Kane stuff in. We did The World Needs Guts last year, and there's a couple songs I've been wanting to get in from Roses on White Lace and Raise Your Fist. So we'll see.
I mean, his solo album.
I just accidentally said the name of the song I wanted to play instead of the album I wanted to play it from. So that'll be the hint.
Maybe Teenage Frankenstein.
Teenage Frankenstein would be great. I always thought that Teenage Frankenstein would be a fun swap with Feed My Frankenstein because we don't even have to get any new props. We could still use the Frankenstein and just put a baseball cap on him.
Maybe like, a medley.
Yeah, why not? But the thing is, Feed My Frankenstein works so well for the casual fan.
Right.
Like at an Alice Cooper show, you have such a cross section of fans. You have people that are mega, mega fans that don't even want to hear Poison and School's Out. And then you have the people that are like the medium casual fans who know all the hits and aren't really going to be super familiar with anything that didn't have a music video, but they'll enjoy it. And then you have the people that only know School's Out and 18 and Poison, and that's it. They don't know any other songs. They didn't come here to hear any other songs, and if they don't hear those 3 songs, they won't know any songs. And you have to kind of cater to all those people. And since Feed My Frankenstein was in Wayne's World, that was, it's got to stay in there.
I mean, I have to admit, I'm an 80s Alice fan, which, some people like my favorite Kiss album is Crazy Nights. That's crazy to say. House of Fire.
House of Fire is so good. It's so good. And I believe, because we just did the ASCAP Pop Awards and honored Desmond Child, who wrote
All Hail King Desmond.
Yeah, All Hail King Desmond, indeed.
Oh.
I think he wrote that whole record. Trash.
To be a straight man in West Hollywood and say you have the Desmond Child box set in your house is
it's a bold move. But it's so good. His songs are so iconic. Like, when we were listening to his introduction, all the Bon Jovi songs and Alice and Aerosmith and Kiss, it doesn't get better than Desmond Child.
I mean, Ricky Martin, the song he had on the soundtrack of The Warriors. I mean, it's like
he has a knack for writing anthems.
Yeah,
he just gets it.
Yeah,
even the album he basically wrote for Rat, which is some people like.
The Cellar?
Oh, I wish he was on the payroll for that album. He did. I think when Bon Jovi was blowing up, someone from Rat's camp said, "Guys, this guy's
doing something that's working.
Just get it together, guys." And he basically wrote the album Detonator.
Oh, okay.
So
I can listen to it.
We met him actually after the awards.
Yeah.
Really cool dude.
Really nice.
I mean, that man can do no wrong.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was, again, for the 1000th time, you don't want to interrupt, but at this point, we did sort of awkwardly just go shuffle up and stand next to him until he looked over and said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm Nita Strauss. I'm Alice's guitar player." And we had just played, so that helped. That was a good in. And he said, "Oh, of course. You were so great." And I mumbled something about playing his songs and what an honor it was. And it was really, really cool.
I mean, now, do you think you guys would ever, you and Alice would bring Desmond back into the fold, or do you even bother with new music these days in terms of Alice?
Oh, there's no me and Alice anything. There's no, I show up and I play what's put in front of me. I would love to play on the next Alice record. I know they're going to work on something new, but he just had Welcome to My Nightmare, and then he put out the newest album recently, but. I think the only real thing of me that was involved in any of that is they released some live tracks.
Right, that you were on.
Alongside Paranormal, which is the newest Alice Cooper record.
I was confused on that record. I'm an idiot, first of all, but I was like, is Nita on this? Or
I'm sort of on it.
Right, the live tracks.
The live tracks, yeah.
And then the OG guitar player.
The original guys are on a couple tracks as well, but not all of them.
Right.
It's I think there's 4 tracks at the end, 3 or 4 tracks that the OGs are on.
Hey, the way things are coming along, it's wouldn't be surprising if she is on the next record. I mean, it's only fitting.
Because this is the longest tenured band that Alice has had, right? In terms of the core members, been a while since. I mean, are you the newest member in the technical sense?
Yeah, I'm still the newest member, and it'll be 4 years this year. So it's been a good steady band for a while.
So, any new album in the works? Maybe any scuttlebutt?
He's working with the Hollywood Vampires right now.
Right.
I think they're working on music. They're hoping to get something cool done. I think they're all in the studio right now, so they're working on that, and hopefully the Alice album will come next.
Well, Nita, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Likewise.
I mean, Josh, I see you every day.
Pretty much.
I won't name the gym because they're not a sponsor. The only sponsor I have is the mic knuckles you see,
Which are amazing.
provided by the great Stephen Piercy.
Super cool.
Thank you.
Well, you should also see another thing that's cool with her. She just jammed with Zach Wilde.
The great Zach Wilde. I have been listening to his Live and Loud album with Ozzy. It's not a new album. I mean, I was a Jake E. Lee guy, full disclosure.
Badlands. So good.
Another Eric Singer. All worlds leads to Eric Singer.
Back to Eric Singer. Oh my gosh, but how good was Badlands? But you know what? I did not like Red Dragon Cartel.
Well, I was at the first concert. And,
It was not what it,
were you there?
no, I saw videos.
Well,
And I can only imagine the videos were worse than what was happening even there. Because videos are never good.
I don't like someone critiquing my stand-up if they've never done it.
Yeah, definitely.
I can certainly, like, if you guys said to me, I think you were at one show I did, hey, maybe that joke could have been better. I'd listen to you guys because you're comedy fans. You probably wouldn't like my take on a guitar solo because I don't know what I'm talking about. The singer, I'm sure he's a great guy. But
That's never good.
Yeah, it's like the girl's got a great personality.
Right.
When you're singing Rock and Roll Rebel, which is a great song, and you're singing it as Rock and Roll Devil,
Right. Maybe it was a copyright thing.
I know that Jake had some problems with that.
So maybe they couldn't say Rock and Roll Rebel.
I don't know if that was the reason. Well, the singer, he needed to work on his crowd work. I'll just say that. But it was nice to see Jake playing. He'd been out of the, he'd been off the grid for a while. But I love Zach Wilde.
Totally, he's amazing.
Well, before we transition to Zach, who's an amazing dude.
I told that story on the podcast last time.
Do you remember the story with her and Jakey Lee?
Let's tell it again. I think it involves
pointing at me, but I didn't want to repeat stories, but I can.
It's all good because when you climb up the ratings in iTunes.
So we did Monsters of Rock with Jakey Lee, and Jakey Lee was on there with Red Dragon Cartel, and I was on there with Femme Fatale, and we were nearby the bar, this sort of central bar where the band members hang out, and so, someone said to me, do you want to meet Jakey Lee? And I was like, yes. Courtney Cox was with me, Courtney from the Iron Maidens and Femme Fatale. And we said, yeah, we want to meet Jakey Lee. So he, comes over and introduces us. And he said, Jake, I want to introduce you to two very bright, upcoming stars of the guitar community. This is Nita Strauss and Courtney Cox. He goes, yeah. You guys want to do a shot, Jameson? And, I don't drink anymore. But at the time, I was like, yes. I would love a shot. And Courtney and I were looking at each other like, Jakey Lee was going to get us a shot at JVO. This is amazing. So so he goes, okay, who's with you guys? 1, 2, we had some of our crew with us. We go, 1, 2, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You want one? Okay, 12 shots of Jameson. And we're like, this is amazing. This is our rock star moment. So he orders the drinks. The drinks come. We all do our shots. You go, cheers, cheers, cheers. Boom. Shoots the bag. He goes, okay, nice to meet you guys, and walks away. And the bartender looked at Courtney and I and said, so who's paying for these? And I said, well, I guess I am. And that's my Jakey Lee story.
I love that story.
Yeah, I can tell you who's not paying for him. It's just the guy who walked away.
The guy who asked if we wanted them.
Well, let's get to Jake's replacement in Ozzy, Black Label Society. I mean, I love Zach Wilde.
Yeah.
How did you guys link up?
Well, that was also a rock and roll fantasy camp thing. You know, we just did the rock and roll fantasy camp where Zach was the special guest counselor, and it was really amazing. You know, Zach and I crossed paths at a festival last year, and you know, I had been sober at that point for about a year, I think, about a year and a half, and Zach, you know, was famously, you know, known for being drunk and crazy all the time and got sober. So I asked him, you know, do you have any advice for me? Do you have any pointers about staying on tour and getting sober? And he put his big paw on my shoulder and talked at me for about 15 minutes and gave me, like, I wish that I had like my phone recorder going so I could, but I retained so much of it. And it was so meaningful to me. Again, we talk about, you know, go back to people taking time to be kind,
Right.
go out of their way and give you their personal knowledge, you know, what works and what doesn't work. And I thought, man, that was so amazing. And I took it with me forever. And I didn't think really that kind of conversation would mean much to him because I'm sure he gets that all the time. So we ran into him in Vegas when Black Label was playing there, and he was walking to the stage and again sort of stopped what he was doing. He said, "Hey, little hurricane, you know, I was just thinking about you the other day because I had a friend who started drinking and, you know, he was sober and he started drinking and I remembered that conversation we had at Rock on the Range, and I was, you know, Josh and I were looking at each other like, he remembered. It actually meant something to him just the way it did to me. So it was so amazing. And then we did rock and roll fantasy camp together, and he was so great with the campers. He was so high energy. He made everyone feel special. He made everybody feel like he wanted them to be there. He wanted to jam with them. He went and, you know, my guys played with him at the Whiskey, and we played Highway Star, which was so much fun. And he went up and interacted with everybody, made everybody feel like he was there with them. It was really cool to see.
Which I think is so neat for just fans to see, like you and Zach and others. Like I've seen Steve Stevens at some of those things, and it just makes you a bigger fan of theirs and yours.
Yeah, definitely.
That, you know, I mean, some people can be dicks and it's like, oh, I don't even want to meet these people anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
We had that interaction.
I've had it a few times with unnamed people, but you know, I guess there's dicks in every industry, yours, mine.
But Zach Wild is not one of them.
No, I mean, he just seems like he'd be a great guy.
Yeah, he's really like, he's very humble, very down to earth, and really, really cool person.
Now, I saw a video, I think it's an older video of you and Brad Gillis playing.
Yeah, that was on Hired Gun.
I love me some Brad Gillis.
Brad is absolutely amazing.
The Whammy
player.
Bar.
Tell that
Yeah.
story.
Which one?
Him jamming all day long.
Oh, I don't want to tell that. He came to Hired Gun taping, and he has more licks than anybody ever. I'll tell the part of the story that I want to tell.
Yes, this is Nita's episode, you Claude. I'm just kidding.
But we did a jam, and it was me and Phil X, who plays with Bon Jovi, and Jason Hook, and was it Kenny playing drums? Kenny
Yes, it was.
and Rudy Sarzo playing bass. And it was just one of those things where I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. You know, like how did I get in this circle of people? So we're doing a round of solos where one person will do the lead and then the other two will play rhythm and you switch off. So I did, 3 or 4 rounds, and then I was like, I'm out of stuff to play. So I kind of tapped out graciously and said, thanks guys. That was great. So, then Brad Gillis and Jason Hook and Phil X kept going around. They did a couple rounds, then Hook dropped out. And then Phil X and Gillis were going back and forth. And then, 5 minutes or so goes by. And Phil X finally just throws in the towel. He goes, okay, guys, that was fun. Let's do something else. And Brad Gillis kept soloing by himself for like 10 more minutes. And it was so incredible as a guitar player to watch because he never ran out of ideas. Like I ran out of ideas pretty fast, after 6 or 7 times playing the same, playing over the same chords. He never repeated anything. He just kept going. It was really, really amazing.
I mean, I always loved his brief tenure with Ozzy. Like
Totally.
just the stress that must have been to.
Did they say he learned it in 2 days or something? He had to learn.
Rudy was telling us that story, actually.
Well, I think they tried out, I forget the guy's name, Bernie something, Torme or something along that. He was like a beatnik guitarist. He was brilliant, but he just wasn't the, I don't know, the image that I think they would.
And Robert Sarzo, I think they tried out too.
Yeah. And then I think they said he had 3 days in a hotel room to learn everything.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And he said, like, I think he said the first show he played, everyone was like, this ain't Randy Rhoads, and they're flipping him off and throwing bottles at him. It's like, well,
what documentary? I know this isn't a documentary. They show it. What documentary is this in?
it was a YouTube. I know there's an album out. I think it's unofficial. Speak of the Devil. It's a live. I think it's the only live show that's like fully recorded, and there was like a little YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. I know I've seen Gillis with his big hair and his big guitar.
That Tommy Aldridge poodle hair.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So, but I mean, do you ever like stop and go, I'm playing with Brad Gillis, Zach Wilde? I mean, like, how do you like not fan out?
Oh, I do. I do fan out every time, every single time. It never gets old. It never stops being cool. It never it always hits me every single time what's happening, and just I think to myself what I would have thought, if I was a young guitar player and I knew that, these people were going to be trading licks with me and Brad Gillis was going to show me some whammy tricks. It was really amazing.
And what advice would you give? Because I know your guys' time is limited. We have to see who the Saints are picking soon. To young female guitar players.
I think the most important thing is not to get too caught up in the female guitar player label. There will be people that say you can. There will be people that say you can't. There will be people that expect you to be better. There will be people that expect you to not be any good. And I think as long as you just focus in on being the best guitar player that you can be and leaving no doubt with your playing and your performance and having a good attitude, being places on time, not going in, with any kind of entitlement because you're a girl that anyone's going to carry your stuff for you or do anything for you. You're expected to carry your amp just like everybody else. And as long as you go in with a good work ethic and a good attitude, there's no reason not to succeed.
And one last thing, I certainly know in the comedy world, I'm around a lot of interesting substances and liquor beverages. Is it tough on the road when you're around constant alcohol and other things? Like, I know you have Josh to lean on. Do you ever get tempted, but like, do you even see that stuff anymore in your vision, or?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I definitely. It's hard not to because it's always there. It's always there. I have Josh to lean on, but Josh will be the first one at the bar. So
yeah, true. Some influence you are.
But really, when you really think about, for me, I just have to think about how many things are better in my life now that that element is gone. I lost a bunch of weight. My relationship with, the man I love is healthier. My relationship with my family's better. I get more done in my day. I don't wake up hungover, and it's just everything has been positive. There's been nothing negative except I'm a little more awkward at parties. That's the only downside to not drinking. So I really when I really take a step back and look at it, there's nothing that makes me go, yeah, I'm going to go back to that way of life.
So instead of a drink now, maybe you'll take a Monster Energy drink.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. I switched all, my guitar tech knows now, instead of putting a Corona backstage behind my amp, he puts some sugar-free Monster, and that's what I switched out for.
And what is your favorite flavor?
I like the orange one. The orange, absolutely.
I do like the orange one.
The orange one's good.
Orange Sunrise, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's something. Which one do you like?
I like the orange one.
Josh likes the orange one.
Orange one.
I don't like that new purple one. Everyone's raving over the purple one. I don't like it.
Some of them taste a little
like cough syrup,
medicine-y.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're great. I mean, if you, I guess it's an acquired taste, but the orange one tastes like orange soda.
Yeah, They have coffee now. They have espresso. It's good.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Yeah.
So now, once again, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's really, we joke around a lot. I love both of you. It's so nice to see two people who are nice and hardworking, accomplishing things.
Better when it's nice.
But it is like, Josh is amazing. He started his company from nothing, and now Johnny Depp's wearing it on stage, and Nita's wearing it. It's just like, and you're like blowing up WrestleMania. It's just refreshing to see nice and humble people.
Well, thank you, man. That means a lot.
No, for the iTunes and SoundCloud people, the plugs one more time for Nita's Kickstarter. It's got, because it runs out
May 4th, Star Wars Day.
And
that'll be next Friday. And if you go on Kickstarter's website and just search for Nita Strauss, you'll be able to find me there. or it'll be at the top of all my social medias, which is Nita Strauss on Facebook and Hurricane Nita on Twitter and Instagram.
And Josh, Beverly Kills Clothing, where can people find that?
You can find that on social media at Beverly Kills CA, and then BeverlyKills.com, and also my personal one is the Josh V. V as in Victor.
That's a lot of plugs. Anita, where are you playing live again?
I am going back out on the road with Alice this August, and so we'll be hitting just about every single state in the U.S.
Any whiskey or any local shows for the LA fans?
What's not the Grove? What's the place called?
You guys are playing the Grove?
Not the Grove. The Greek.
Oh, wow.
The Greek, right up the street.
And will you be doing any like solo shows or guitar clinics?
Yeah, there will be a lot of guitar clinics, a lot of cool stuff going on. Nothing confirmed here in LA right now, but the best place to find it out is always my website, nitastrauss.com. Another plug. And so anything that's coming up, they just announced I'll be at Sweetwater Gear Fest in Indiana. I'm doing some stuff overseas, and there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up.
And before the end of the year, there will be the album release, and we will be doing shows.
A solo tour, yeah.
And get the guitar. I'm going to order the guitar.
You'll love it. I'll show you how to play it.
Oh, no, listen, let me be real honest with you. Brent Fitz tried to teach me the drums. It literally made him want to quit the business. I have no musical talent, but at least
it's
I'm
better. The guitar won't get all fingerprinty.
Oh, yeah, I'm just going to I'm going to have you sign it.
Yeah.
Maybe have Brad Gillis touch it.
Yeah, it'll get some mojo then.
Yeah, I believe in that. Do you believe in that?
I believe in it 100%.
Like someone gave me a wristband that Vinnie Vincent wore, and I have it. And I swear to God, you feel like
No, it's true. I have a Dave Murray one. And I feel the exact same way.
It says Dave Murray with a stripe, right?
It's the exact one. Yes.
And like, I'm totally about that.
Me too. 1,000%.
Someone gave me one of the Ultimate Warriors armbands.
What?
Where's that?
And when I feel it's in a secret location, I met him once, and it's weird. You feel like when you put this armband around you, you
feel the power of the warrior.
You do. You feel stronger.
We just got to hang out and talk with Dana Warrior for a while. She was really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Oh, I mean, he was my favorite, and you know, it's an unfortunate aspect of that business, but let's not end on that.
No.
Kickstarter.com.
Yes.
Search for Nita Strauss. Go to BeverlyKills.com to order some cool shirts and find out what I'm up to on NitaStrauss.com.
And let's take Nita's albums. It's September, so you got a while to kick in. It's 7 days to kick in. You know, these albums aren't cheap. And, you know, Nita's got to pay the band. You know,
Josh.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's a freebie. You got to maybe get Ron Nevison in to produce it.
Colonel Parker, man.
Get Desmond Child in to just write
some songs.
That's the whole budget, right?
That's you know, one line in a chorus, and he gets 80% publishing. It's pick your poison with King Desmond. Guys, Inappropriate Earl, SoundCloud and iTunes. If you don't want to leave a review, it's not that hard. Go to Kickstarter, find Nita's info, and donate to that. And we will see you later.